Mm-hmm. You ready?
Wait till it starts flashing. Yeah, you're good.
We'll call this meeting of the BZA to order. Would you take roll call, please?
Rob Kaufman.
Here.
Dave Eggers.
Here.
Skylar Early.
Here.
Jack Swindell. Karen Munson.
We've had an opportunity to read the minutes from last meeting, the December meeting of last year.
Speak up a little bit.
Are there any additions, subtractions, deletions? Anything? If not, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded, we'll take a vote. Those in favor of accepting the minutes as printed, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
I was an aye, my bad. It didn't quite, I got a little.
You and I?
I'm
Okay.
an aye.
Got it. So that passes.
Okay, the first case tonight is BZA 028-24. Marlon Martinez is petitioner. Petitioner is requesting a land use variance at 1072 Brittany Boulevard, wanting to run a party rental business out of her garage. This does come to us from Plan Commission, but due to only 6 members, or 5 members being present, I think we had 6, but it was like 4 to 3, and it takes 6 for any kind of recommendation, so there was no action by the Plan Commission.
And in this case, this evening, all three of us have to vote in favor of, to be able to pass something.
Takes a majority and takes 3 of you, yeah.
It takes a majority, it takes the three of us. And so that's all that's here right now. So if somebody feels as though there could be questions about this and decide they want to table theirs until another time, when we have all 5 members here present, you're more than welcome to do so. But if not, and we vote on it, then that's the way it goes. Okay. First case then.
I've read it.
Those, would you
Go ahead,
step
come up,
forward?
tell us what you want to do, guys.
Step forward and please state your name and your case, would you? Please.
Good afternoon, my name is Marilu Nava.
Good afternoon. My name is Aylin Aguilar, and I am her daughter.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Monica Gonzalez, and I'm here in case they need any translation.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Our business is called Michelle Party Rentals. As we stated last time, right now we have our business is not as local. So once we get well known, we will be able to purchase or rent a local place for our business to expand. We hope that in the future our business expands, so we will be able to purchase that. And due to one concern from last time, one of the judges had said about the safety of children. The trailer is parked all the way towards the garage. It's loaded, and everything is taken out there. No one is disturbed in their pathway. No kids are in the way. Our neighbors are only adults. The surrounding houses that we have, and it doesn't disturb in anyone's way. So the safety of loading and backing up the trailer is not a big safety issue. So
What exactly is a party rental business that you all are doing, please?
a party rental business, it requires party tents, chairs, tables. For example, if someone would like to have a party, they would call us, rent a party tent, chairs and tables for the desired people they would have. And we also rent bounty houses for children's parties.
And these are all currently stored in your garage? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Anybody else to speak in favor of? You all can sit down if you like.
Thank you.
Anybody to speak opposed to? Questions from the board?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. So primarily when you talk about running a party rental business, so primarily my understanding would be these parties aren't happening here. You are storing merchandise in order to transport that to another location to hold an event. Is that correct? So we'd be contacting you to say, hey, I need 50 chairs and 14 tables and a tent. And then those items which are stored in your garage would be loaded onto a trailer and hauled to a location, correct? So currently it appears that garage sits on an alley currently, right?
Yes.
Is it on an alley behind that Brittany Boulevard? Do you have an alley and access behind the house?
No.
Or would you be loading from the street?
They don't.
No, there's
I
no
didn't
alley.
see
There's
one,
no
but I
alley
didn't
there.
know if we had an easement or something.
Yeah, there's not an alley back here.
There's not an alley, I don't
Okay.
believe.
All right.
And that enclosed trailer in your driveway, that's the one you're using for the business, correct? Dave, what were more concerns
Well,
from the plan commission the other night?
I wasn't actually there either, but so we have plenty of room in this garage to totally self-contain all this product, so it won't spill out into the yard, spill out into the driveway, spill out. We're gonna be able to contain that into your garage.
Did you ask about the trailer?
I
believe the trailer is what they put it in and haul it to your.
Yeah, right. I went by there the other day, and there's a really nice enclosed trailer out there.
Yes.
Yep.
With the intentions, again, that, if this thing grows enough, you're going to rent or buy someplace and make it more of a commercial business, correct? As opposed to just running it out of your garage in the future, hopefully.
Question, Chris. I can't recall doing anything like this exactly verbatim, but we've done similar things. Is there a possibility, in order to give them an opportunity, to do a limited time frame variance in order to give them that opportunity to build this business up to a point that they could graduate into their goals of having something further? Mm-hmm. So could we temporarily say, okay, we'll grant you a year variance to store this stuff and then to move forward past that? Is that we've done similar stuff, but
Yeah, but it's my understanding that you're able to put reasonable commitments or obligations or stipulations in order to approve and then revisit, once that clock has run. So if that's something that you would be interested in doing, yeah, that's within your authority.
Well, I think they've been in front of us a couple of times. I think they're making a valid effort at trying to abide by our stuff. I'm open for discussion here.
Well, my question would be if we would put like a year on there and they're doing decent business but are not able to find another facility to go to within their budget, what do we do then?
So maybe we reevaluate at that time. Maybe we look at it and say, we've had no complaints. We've had ever seemed to be successful, seems to be building. So maybe we carry it over again. Or maybe at that time they are in that shape and they are in that position to move on and be successful and get a permanent party rental spot going. That's my thought process is all that is. So
I'm not opposed to that. Outside of placing any limitations, I don't see much of an issue with it, how they've described it. Mm-hmm. If bouncy houses were up and inflated, being cleaned all the time, and they were constantly up, I think that could be an issue. There's someone in my neighborhood that does something similar. It's not caused an issue. And depending on how the garage is utilized, there can be a lot of space to store those up in a garage as well. They could be doing great business and still be completely self-contained within the garage. So I'm okay either way.
Yeah, I thought, so is there, will you be these bouncy houses, I'm sure sizable, right, great big? So will you be inflating those on the property and cleaning those there? Or do you have another facility somewhere to do that?
We do those in the backyard, but mostly this business is considered a summer business, so it would only be a certain amount of time during the year that we would be doing it. And depending how much business we have, and depending how many bouncy houses we leave, depending.
Okay, fair enough.
So do we want to put like a year stipulation on this?
How about if can I make a motion, sir?
Yeah, absolutely.
Then I want to make a motion to approve a temporary variance for a period of 12 months to give them that opportunity to be successful. And then we will make a note in our books that we can revisit this. So we'll send you a letter in 11 months, have you come back in and we can have that discussion. Let's see where you're at. And hopefully we're going to get us a building and make this all go, okay? That's my motion. So I got one with all of it. So formal motion would be that I make a motion to approve under a 12-month reevaluation.
What about if we move it ahead a couple months and give them more of an opportunity instead of starting it right in the dead of winter?
I'm all open for that. Sure. I
So what,
agree.
Marchish, April?
Start it. Yeah, let's do it. And let's make it, a 15-month? Is that, let's see, 6. How about an 18-month? That's a year and a half. Can we do that? That would give them ample time.
Absolutely.
It's up to you guys, but
trying
yeah,
to
I think
facilitate.
That sound all right with you ladies?
Okay.
You understand what we're talking about, right?
Yes.
So in 18 months from now, or 17 months, you would probably be getting a letter and asked you to come back in. You would not need to reapply. And we would just talk about where the business is at. Maybe you're already someplace else by then, hopefully. Everybody good with all this?
I will second that motion.
Motion's been made, it's been seconded. Let's vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It has been approved 3-0. So good luck to you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you here in a year and a half maybe.
Thank
Go
you.
get them. Okay.
you don't have to stay. If you want to leave, you can.
If you want to leave, you're more than welcome to, but you're good to go.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Okay, second case tonight is BZA 01-25. Rodney Campbell is the petitioner. Petitioner is requesting a variance at 2491 North County Road 950 East. He's wanting to vary from the side setback 20 feet to 5 feet to build a garage on his property.
would the petitioner please step forward and state your name and your case?
Rodney Campbell. I'm applying for a variance to build a pole barn.
Okay. And you've already built it, right?
No, it's
Oh,
not.
you have not?
No.
Oh, he has built a garage and did not realize he needed a variance.
Nope, I've held off on
Okay.
it till I come here.
No, he hasn't built it. That's a misprint in the minutes.
Oh, okay. How big is it gonna be?
30 by 60.
Now, I was out by your place. Is it gonna be like directly behind the house?
To the south side of the house. Did you see the two sheds out there?
I did.
Right beside them.
Okay,
60 feet toward the road. 30 feet back up toward the house.
I got you. Okay,
Yeah, he's got a 200-foot lot, so his side variance would be, or his side setback would be 20 feet, but he wasn't wanting to come that far in.
I see.
That's the reason he's asking.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there anybody else to speak in favor of? Step
I just
forward,
have a question.
step forward, please.
Nothing against your project.
Step forward and
I
state
just-
state your name if you would, please.
Denny Fry. I live on 1225 Washington Avenue. I came here about a year ago with a very similar build for a variance to get closer to the property line. And you all granted the variance to my neighbor to do that, but there was never a question about where his stormwater was going to go. And since he's 5 feet from the property line, he put an extension on his downspout to his property line, and his whole roof discharge comes onto my property, floods my garden out, killed it out twice. I would like to see the zoning take consideration or question, if you're given a variance to a closer property line, that what are your intent with your stormwater? Because the building that was built next to me was approximately 1,400 square feet. Both downspouts come onto my property, and the city tells me that's a civil case. You'll have to take it up with a legal situation. I wish the zoning would take consideration, if you're given a variance to nearby property adjacent, that there would, at least the neighbors could be notified so they could be here to oppose if possible. Because in my case, I'm going to have to move one of my portable buildings because of all the water standing under my building. I don't want to sue my neighbor. And so I think there needs to be a consideration prior to granting a variance, what might be done with the stormwater discharge. Nothing against nothing against this gentleman's project, but I saw this on the agenda and I thought it was something that's really caused me a division with my neighbor, because he wanted to go 1 foot from the property line. Thank you, zoning. You did not allow that to happen. You granted him 5 feet, which I still had a question about because I knew the overhang and so forth would end up being close to my property line. And there was no question about his water discharge. And it ended up, I'm taking his total burden of his water. So just something I wanted to interject. That could be considered if you're going to have a variance. What are your conditions going to be for your stormwater?
Okay, thank you.
Denny, were you at that meeting, the meeting you're talking about?
Yes,
You said
sir.
something about neighbors getting notified. Neighbors do get notified.
I know they do,
Okay, I
but
thought,
was gonna
there's
say, you
not
should-
there's not a criteria about what you're going to do with your stormwater.
right, but you were at that meeting, right?
I was,
Okay.
Okay.
because I was opposing the 1 foot variance, and Bernie, even last night after the council meeting, or before the council meeting, excuse me, I was talking to Bernie about it. He asked us, has there been anybody change their water discharge? I said, no. We're just sort of butting heads with each other. Who's going to be the stronger willed situation?
Right.
And he said that, and I want to express a little disappointment, Mr. Gray. I questioned because he was wanting to build on an easement. It was a utility easement that was also a waterway easement, which should have set him back 10 feet and me 10 feet. But you granted him a variance to go 5 feet from the property line, which he built on the easement. And Bernie's opinion to me was that shouldn't even happen. When I questioned that here that night, the zoning says we can grant a variance on whatever we want to do. And I thought that was not very acceptable.
I made that statement and I did that and I said that. And what I'm not sure of, there was no mention of that being part of a drainage easement ever. That's not on the
I agree.
books.
I
That's
learned
not-
that
I didn't
afterward,
get
Dave.
that,
I
right?
learned that afterwards.
So I
You
mean,
did know it was a utility easement.
it was utility easement. It's been there a long time and probably will never be used, but because of what's sitting beside you and what's in the back of you, right? That big open area full of power lines. So the odds of that ever being a utility, usable utility, since it's all in the front street corners of that other side, that was more than that. And we made a provision for him that said if it ever does, and we ever need that, it's at your expense, or we'll remove your building at your expense, not yours,
it's a
but at
permanent
his.
structure.
At his.
To make that arrangement. So I don't know anything about that being a drainage easement. Could that have changed
I
something?
learned of that last
Absolutely.
night. I didn't either.
Yeah, so,
So-
I don't, we did not have that information
And
anywhere. so.
I grant you that, that's true. What it did to me though, Dave, was I have property that comes around back to the back. You're familiar with it, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
The intent for that was if that ever got, because it was parceled out and zoned for residential, that if I wanted to build there, I have a right of way coming in that's called Loretta Drive. And if I wanted to, it's already zoned residential, I can try to get a permit to build two I'm not going to, but I don't know the person after me, or if my family, one of my family members takes over that building, they may want to zone that out, but then the utility easement will have to be considered.
And that at that time would be, I mean, just to be honest with you, absolutely. That's why we put that provision in his variance, right? To say, if this ever takes place, if this ever happens, then this will happen.
That's not in the minutes though. That's not in the minutes.
I don't have that in
I
front of me
think that's
either,
gonna be my word against his word if it ever comes to that. I wish that would have been put in the minutes.
You guys would know that better than I would. I don't.
Like that.
Because I read the minutes afterwards and there was nothing mentioned of his taking the condition of removal if it ever came to be that situation. But my concern right now tonight is the fact is when you give a variance, you know, you're talking 1,800 square feet with this gentleman. And that's a lot of watershed. 2-inch rain on 1,800 square feet is about, my math, I'm sorry, is going to be somewhere between 2,400 to 2,800 gallons of water immediately discharged if it's going on a neighbor's property.
You made your point, and we appreciate it very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Okay, back to the case. Anybody in favor of, anybody opposed to? Do we have anything from the board? Being in a rural area like this, I don't know that's not, do you have anybody close enough or any property that's going to be concerned of how you drain this coming off of your?
No, we're in the bottoms anyway.
Well, yeah, that's what it looked like to
If
me.
you was out there, you seen his shed is within 4 or 5 feet from my property line, his
Right.
garage.
Right.
So it's.
Well, I appreciate you coming to us and doing this the proper way.
Right.
I know it takes time and I know it takes some resources to do that, and I appreciate you all doing this the proper way. Anything from the board? Any questions? Any discussion?
I looked at it too, and it is true as far as that standpoint goes. Once again, we're flirting with it. This is a bigger lot. It's a much bigger lot. I don't foresee any issues with most of it. I think 5-foot setback off the side's a little short. I would like to see that more to 10 personally. I think we can get a variance for him to help him out, but there's nothing to the back of him. There's nothing to the side of him to speak of. There's a house, but it's way forward of his on the road frontage.
Right.
I like a little more room around that than 5 feet.
What would 10 do for you?
That would put me in where I gotta cut down trees to get in where the driveway's going to drive into there.
And where's this driveway you're planning on putting in for that? Is there going to be a driveway specific for that?
It's just gonna be gravel where I could drive up in it without, because like I said, when it rains out there, it gets muddy.
Oh, sure, yeah, I guarantee it.
And then there's a tree right there. If I go any closer, I'm gonna have to cut that tree down. I'm pretty sure where I've got it staked off from what I've measured, I'm more than 5 foot off of his property line.
Do you have a septic out there? Do you have city sewer?
I've got septic. It's right dead behind the house, and it runs out to the south, to the back of the lot.
Okay.
There's no chance of that getting flooded out either, is there? Any thoughts? I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We'll vote.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. It has been approved, 3-0. So I guess he needs to come up and get with Patty, right?
Yeah, it's come up, get with Patty for your permit.
For your
Not tonight,
permit.
but- Not tonight, but just come up to City Hall.
Yeah.
Get your permit for your building and all that stuff.
All right, so the permit you give me is no good?
No, it's good.
Oh, you
You're
already
good.
gave him one? Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
gotcha. Sorry. I didn't know you'd
Thank
already
you.
got it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next case.
Next
please.
case is BZA 02-25 Stony Run LLC. Jason Miller is the petitioner. Petitioner is requesting a variance at 731 Marley Lane. They built a new home there and it went up for sale, got surveyed, and they are, instead of being 25-foot front setback, they've got a 22.5. Now, there's 3 of these that they built, so do you want to do all 3? You want to do them separate?
I think the same case, I mean, probably.
Yeah, I'd say let's do them all at the same
separately,
time.
though. I don't know.
You don't
I
think
you need
so?
to separate them.
Okay.
Just to be
Just
on
do the
safe
first
side.
one. It's a-
Okay.
But that's up for your discretion, Mr. President.
And it's also got a 10-foot side yard, and they are at a 6.9 feet on the side, so.
State your name and your case, if you would, please.
My name is Jen Pryor. I am an employee of Jason Miller, who is one of the owners and developers of Stony Run. He's out of state right now, so I am here in his place. They have built 3 homes in that development so far. If all these are heard separately, that's fine, but it's kind of the same situation for all 3 of them. 731 is pending sale, and during that process, we had the lot surveyed, which is when we found the setback issues. So we had the other 2 lots surveyed as well, because we assumed that there could be an issue there as well, wanted to take care of everything at one time. What we found out was that when the one of the engineers for the development staked out the original 3 lots that were going to be built on, they measured from the sidewalk back instead of the curb back, and that's why we have these 2, 4, and 5 foot issues with the setbacks in the front. So that's why they're requesting the variance on these 3 houses that have already been built, and going forward, now that they, of course, know there was an issue, there won't be any further homes in the development built that way. They will be built to the correct setback now that we have them officially surveyed.
Okay. Well, since Mr. Miller's not here, we can't really ask him any questions. We know that he came to you, you spoke to him.
They knew what the setbacks were. They measured from the wrong spot.
Right.
It's 25 feet from your property line, and I was told they measured from the curb, but
That's what he
That's
told
what-
me. They figured out after they did the survey that the
they didn't go
engineers-
from the property line. They went from the
Yeah.
curb back, which is throwing these all off about the 4 or 5 feet front.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing on the side.
Yeah, just the one has the issue on the side. 731 has like a 2 foot issue. It's not the 10%. It's a
Right.
little bit under. The other 2 don't have the side issue, just the issue in the front.
Yep. So they just measured from the wrong spot.
Right.
Yeah.
And they are currently built.
Yes, I guess I don't understand how you can measure, you can miss that side distance though.
Need approvals.
Do what?
Need to see if anybody's here to speak in favor or against.
Right.
And then we'll have those discussions. 'Cause I
Right.
have several questions.
Yeah, I'm ready. Anybody else to speak and approve of or against? If not, okay.
I'm sorry.
What you got, Dave?
I'm sorry. I just want to stay on my board. I have several, okay? Ms. Pryor, I'm gonna tell you, this is really something Mr. Miller should have been here for. So between sidewalks, those two houses is 6.2 inches, or 6.2 feet, 6 feet 2 inches between those sidewalks.
Right.
You're supposed to be 10 foot either side of that property line. That, Miller's built houses in this town a long time,
Right.
right? Your
That's
setback off that front is the same thing. He knows where that property line's at. That, I mean, it's a major no-no. This is a big deal. And I'm a little, I can't believe he wouldn't have made a point to be here to reschedule this to do this. You know, the houses are built. I was there. We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful homes. And I applaud what he's trying to do in that area.
Sure.
Do you know who surveyed this originally? Because this is a full subdivision layout. So somebody had to get plans to be approved originally.
That I'm not sure. All the information that he gave me was that when the first 3 they were going to build were being done, it was one of the engineers for the development that did their stakes for them.
So you're going to need to find legal recourse on him because this ain't going to be pretty.
Okay.
And I don't mean that wrong, but understanding that we grant variances, you've heard a couple tonight where we've made arrangements for things to happen and done offsets and imposed in different areas. The area in Marley Lane is quite congested. There's a lot of people there. There's a lot of stuff there, but the improvements that he had proposed to make in that area is one of that area of town needs to be done, and that is one of our zones in town that we have pushed this to be successful.
Sure.
Which makes it even more so that we got to stay legal with it.
Right.
I put a tape measure on myself. I just couldn't believe it. I understand because my measurements lead me to believe that laid out exactly like they are side by side, we get 4 to 5 additional houses on the end of that by violating our city ordinances. So technically, at $200,000 a house, we got $1 million of property we can sell in the end that makes that up because we are at 6.2 feet between the edge of those two sidewalks between that buildings versus 10 foot here and 10 foot here.
Sure. And I understand the concern.
Yeah.
I know that was not the intention.
Right.
That is not at all what they're trying to do. They're not trying to be in the bad graces of the city.
But you gotta understand that the appearances are.
I totally do. But I know from working with them that is not at all what they are trying to do. And that's why when they did the first survey on 731 and realized there was an issue, they preemptively did the other 2 houses as well because they're like, there's most likely going to be an issue with these other 2. Let's just go ahead and figure out what's going on and then try to, correct what we can. So they have their lot stake, they have the amount of lots that are going to be there, the amount of houses that are going to be in the development. That is not planned to change whatsoever. It's, my understanding that it really was a mistake. I don't know if I'm assuming Jason wasn't out there with tape measures because he would have caught it. But, now they're just here begging for mercy to be able to continue on and get these 3 sold that are up and then, going forward, correct the issues.
The primary concerns actually on the first one, would be on the first 2, would be 31 and 33, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the 2 that are currently sitting side by side in the works.
Right.
Where you're 6 foot between sidewalks. So those are the 2 right now. The other, as far as the front setbacks go, we're relatively close on that. I don't know that, there is a reason those are that way. There is.
Sure.
And I know Mr. Miller's built a lot of houses, and this seems to be, I built houses. I've seen that stuff too, but boy, layouts are the first thing you do, right? I mean, it's the first thing you do. I would hope that was done differently. So what could happen here, just so you can pass this along, is, we could evaluate to have levies, fines, penalties, lots of things leveled against this. Now I'm not a tear a place down unless you're just ridiculous. And those are beautiful homes. I'm not saying that.
Sure.
But we also, as you discovered when you went to get title for that, that they don't approve that.
Right.
So we have those hurdles to go, and with a variance, they would. And correct me, I'm a little foggy on if we issue a builder variance, does that continue to the initial homeowner? Or does that have to be reapplied once someone purchases that home?
Well, this is just property line, so that's not, you're granting a variance for the setback. That goes with anybody that would buy the home.
Okay.
And so, Dave, I was there too. The sidewalks you're talking about now, the sidewalks are allowed, they could be right on the, so I know they're 6 foot apart, but the houses are further, so.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can pour concrete right on your property.
I do, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Mr. Fry knows that. His neighbor did that. Yeah.
Yeah, but those houses are awful close together.
They are, but I'm just saying, the sidewalks, they could be side by
right.
side,
Yep, and they are,
6 foot, 2 inches, we measure.
yeah.
I'm afraid, I think, and I've researched this extensively in the last few days, and I just, and Jeremy's right, as far as we can pour concrete on almost anywhere, right, as long as we're on our side of the fence, so to speak. But, it's too close. Now, nothing we can do about that one, but moving forward, and saying that, I'm really feeling that there was a violation. I'm sorry. I think maybe, I'm not saying that he purposely didn't, intentionally maybe, but man, it sure doesn't. Here's what moves forward. So we let this fly, and then we got the next guy that builds a subdivision that isn't too far away. You made him do it. What are we gonna do, right? So I think it's something that we should at least table until we have further discussions with our city attorney and what our best move forward is to make sure we evaluate this properly, to know what, like I said, they're beautiful places, and it's in the right place, right? It's in the right place. It's a great thing for the community. I agree with all those things, but it's got to be done right. And obviously it wasn't started right, so what makes this thing's going to continue right? You know what I'm saying? So, because I think we have information that we need to gather, and I'm going to tell you, I don't really feel good about Mr. Miller not being here, and I agree, and not being able to hear this part.
And I can tell you, he's out of state, and one of the houses is scheduled to close on the 31st, and this is one of the things that has to be taken care of, and that's why he asked me to come and speak on his behalf, so that house can close as scheduled. And most likely, if this doesn't work, then that buyer's going to be gone, and he's going to be starting.
And which location is that?
That's on 731.
See, that's one of the two.
Right.
Is that the blue one or the white one? That's the one that had a showing the other day.
It's not the one that had the open house. It's the other one.
Okay.
So it's the one that's closest to the road where the road will be.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like he needs to be here.
I mean, I can see whether I can get him to jump in on Zoom if that is helpful this evening. I can contact him and see if he's available to get onto the Zoom so that
I think at this point we're a little past that, Jim. Mr. Pryor, it's that takes more time and more stuff, and I understand.
I think we need to talk it over.
We do. We need to have a discussion on what is our best move as a board to move forward, and we rely on that's why our attorney comes to these meetings and sits and listens. I want to be completely fair to you, while still inside the city ordinances and what they set forth for us to carry out. So, it's nothing.
Make a motion.
I'm going to make a motion to table this till next month's meeting.
I'll second that. And we can do a oral vote, can't we? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. So we're going to table it until next month.
Okay, and he will be back by then, so he will be able to appear.
That would be
at
great.
time.
This is 3 cases.
All three petitions.
All three
tabled?
put together, I would
Yes.
say, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's the way we're gonna do it.
Okay,
Okay.
I will let him
Just
know.
get with Patty, she'll tell you when the next meeting.
Okay, yep, I will contact her.
But thank you for coming in.
Thank
You're
you very
welcome.
much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Need to discuss, the only other thing I've got is the removing the Zoom link, as a meeting option. You guys, I don't vote, but you three do, so discuss that and tell me what you're feeling.
January brought it to my attention that it will still be available,
Plan Commission doesn't do it, but you guys still do, so if you wanna keep
and
it,
rather than always have it there, even though no one uses it, just have it in.
I think as long
Like
as
the
we still
legal
have
notice.
availability, so if
Yes.
someone would question that due to a disability, due to
Then
some
they could, that
opportunity,
option
I
would be
think we
there
need to keep the option open, but I don't see why it would be necessary
to have it every
maintain
meeting.
it every week if not being used. So maybe we put that question on the variance form
Yes,
or something.
I've already
to
got
say,
one
do
on
you
there.
wish- Okay.
If
then
requested is how it's worded.
You guys, I mean,
Well, and that would also have to be available to all people, neighbors, and so on and so forth, right?
Yes,
And that's-
when they get
that's
that
available too.
notification, it's
Okay.
on the legal notice.
I think that's perfect. I think that would work out just fine
Tyler?
that way.
Yeah, agreed.
We need to vote on that? Let's vote.
Yes.
Those in favor of doing it that way, aye.
aye.
Those opposed, nay. Yeah, good idea, Patty. Good idea, Dave.
now you won't have to bring that up anymore,
You won't have to.
every meeting. Thank you. I don't have anything further.
Do we want to discuss this thing, now about the Millers?
What's our formulation on that, or is that as actually executive session, or does we discuss that now?
Chris?
Sorry, I'm looking to
Chris?
see if
Chris.
we are streaming, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I can go over options, and the board would be within its authority to request the building commissioner to impose a fine. The city code has what did I do with it? Sorry, I printed off a whole bunch of code before this meeting. A fine structure for zoning ordinance violations. And I believe, sorry.
Well, I'm thinking, let me interrupt you. She did say that they had no intentions of altering any of those other future plans as far as, you had an idea perhaps that they could stretch the thing out and maybe add another home or two. And, so we would definitely have to hold them to that, obviously.
Be the first time we've been lied to up there.
You're right.
Streaming or not, that's a fact.
No, you're right. You're right.
I don't think that's the case, all right, I don't.
Right,
But I know they're all laid out,
right.
and I think I'm gonna totally believe that there was an error in where they measured from. I'm sure of that, but there's gotta have a recourse, I would think, to some.
When I was there, I was thinking the same thing. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Because they've done this before. They ought to know where the lines need to be.
So city code for zoning violations allows fines not less than $25 or more than $500 for each day's violation. That's, in my opinion, going to be difficult math to math. If you're not requiring them to remove a home, when does the violation cease?
Right.
And in my opinion, it's possible to seek a court order to impose a fine to be requested, if the board wants to come up with a number that they want to propose as a fine, we could get a court order for that. You can have them move the structures, obviously not practical in this case.
We legally could, but I don't want to.
Yeah, you do have the right to seek
I don't want to either.
a judgment to do that.
But I think I think action. We need to take an action of some kind. That's what I do believe. But
If we would set an end date, I would personally, I would say today would be the end date. If you had a fine period, I would think this would be the end of the fine period.
So.
Because this is when we're talking about, this is when we're going to try to establish that.
Okay.
But when would you implement the start of it?
Well, you couldn't do it, you couldn't go all the way back to the point where they got their permit, I don't think. I think, I don't know.
I would think, maybe this is me, random thoughts right off
What
the
do you
top.
guys, what are you guys after? We're not gonna make you tear it down, so.
We're after not setting a precedent and letting future builders know that if you know, to pay closer attention when you're laying out your house you're building.
Right.
And not make a mistake, or you too could be levied this fine, or this value, or
'Cause
this
these aren't-
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
action.
Are you guys after a fine? Cause you're not gonna move the houses, you talked about that, so you would be
Well, we
after
don't
a
want
fine.
to, you know, that's not, they are nice homes, we hate to do that, right?
Right,
I don't
right.
think that's looks good on any of us.
It's not
Just trying to get what you're
I
after.
think we should levy a fine. I think probably our best thing would be to just request for a court order and we can determine that dollar figure, what that might be. But nothing works as well as hitting somebody in their pocket. We've all been hit there. I've been
Well,
hit
it sounds
there,
like we're
everybody
getting
has.
ready to anyway, because if that thing doesn't close in 3 days,
Yeah.
then she made it sound like they're gonna lose the buyer.
And I totally get that, right? So, I don't know. Tell me thoughts, Rob. That's what we're
Well,
having an
I-
open discussion, right?
Well, I was there this past weekend, and I'm looking at this thing and I'm going, I mean, these weren't the first two or three houses these people have ever built. They've gotta know, right?
Yeah, I think so.
You know, this is not like, well, I don't even wanna bring
It's
that.
not, right?
I don't wanna even bring that up.
So I just, so what dollar figures imposed on that? Well, I don't know, you know, I mean, I think that's where
Well,
we.
what costs are we incurring to take legal action? I mean, court filing costs,
And then
your costs, I mean.
hourly attorney's fees.
Well, that can all be added, that can all be lumped into the whole sum, right?
Yes, and the caveat to that is, should the board prevail in any litigation involving this, the property owner would be responsible for covering legal fees and court costs.
The current property owner.
Yes. The
the
petitioner,
bill,
the
not a
petitioner.
future
Which
home.
Miller
Oh, right.
still owns, so it's
Yeah, the
him.
petitioner seeking the
Yeah.
variance.
And he's the one he's the one we're wanting to
He's
try
the
to
one
get.
seeking the variance, yes.
Right.
So why don't we do this? Cause we're still streaming, we've been here 50 minutes.
Go ahead.
Is your wife outside honking at you?
Yeah, somebody, you hit your horn.
It couldn't be, right?
We've rescheduled for next month. So do you guys wanna hear from Mr. Miller before we start this other process, or that's what I'm trying to get at? You've asked for a delay
Well,
for
I have
months.
asked for a delay for him to come back, cause we would like to talk to him himself.
Okay, so you don't want us to do anything for a month?
That's what we voted on and
Trying to
approved.
get
We
at.
were gonna table that for a month.
Okay, then after you talk to him, we'll decide whether we,
Yeah, yeah, Jeremy, you tell,
no, I don't
just-
vote, you do, so I'm just trying to get, you've asked him to come next month.
Mhm.
So tonight, what I'm trying to do, we're sitting here discussing it, but we've got a month to discuss it.
We got a month to discuss it. I'm not arguing any of that, and I'm all about it. And
So,
we can let Chris have time to put something together. She can email all of us. We can have those discussions, and then
we got 30 days.
we got time to
I guess
be able
basically
to
what I'm looking for tonight is an adjournment,
get it.
and then
totally
we got
do.
30 days to
I
discuss,
totally get it.
okay?
So are we gonna get together and or talk between now and then? Is that what we're?
Chris,
is
what's
that
the
what we're-
rules?
It would have to be an open meeting that you could call a special meeting and publicize or publish notice of that special meeting and get together and discuss this. If there is discussion in anticipation of litigation, that conversation would be an executive session. If that's the route the board thinks it's gonna go, executive session would be appropriate environment for that conversation.
It sounds like that's the thing then.
But if y'all wanna wait until next month and kinda get a better feel for how things are looking, that's, or we could have the executive session prior to next month's meeting. It's entirely up to you all.
So let's do this. Let's just, for tonight, let's adjourn. I will get with you and we'll figure out a way to go on either having a special meeting or executive session.
Sounds good, Jeremy.
Okay?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Approved.
We're out.
I mean, I think that's the way to go. Let's